It's time to mind your business with me, Jamillah Lodge. Tune in to find out how to mind your business with BEDC, special guest entrepreneurs, industry experts, and more. Brought to you by BEDC. Bermuda Business starts here.
Hello.
Hi. I forgot I got to put my earphones on too.
Makes sense. Makes
Yes.
sense.
All right. Just waiting for Mark, right?
Yes, and my coworker Shannon as well.
Okay, I see Shannon. Let me see.
I mean, he's actually just like right behind me, so.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Excellent, thank you.
Good, good. Okay, is Shannon gonna put his camera on? There you are. I like your background. Okay, so we're gonna get started. First of all, I just want to say welcome to the show. Thank you guys for making yourselves available. I'm Jamillah. I'm going to be your host for today. And joining me are our special guest, Mark Tomlinson, who's the Police Sergeant of Technology Services and Digital Forensics Unit, Detective Constable Shannon Trott, and Financial Crime Analyst Kalvin Nhan of the Financial Crime Unit. So welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So I'm going to start with you, Mark. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, thank you. I joined the Bermuda Police Service in July 2008. I have over 22 years of law enforcement service. I previously served in the Jamaica Constabulary Force. And during my tenure in Bermuda, I worked in several areas, particularly Hamilton Police Station, Southside, Somerset. I've previously worked with the Records Management Support Unit. Right now, I am the supervisor for both the Digital Forensics Unit and our Technology Services Department.
Okay, excellent. And so I'll let you, Shannon, if you can introduce yourself as well and tell us what you do. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, that's much better.
My apologies.
No problem.
So I'll start again. My name is Shannon Trott, and I'm a detective in the Financial Crime Department. I joined the Bermuda Police Service in 2003, and my principal background is in investigations, financial crime, narcotics, intelligence, and my current role in financial investigations is investigating more high-level money laundering and cybercrime investigations. So a lot of international cooperation and local cooperation with businesses in regards to any threats in relation to banking.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. And Kalvin, last but certainly not least.
I mean, compared to my other two coworkers, I'm the newbie of the group. I've only been working for the Bermuda Police Service for a year and a half now, but I come from a background in compliance, working with banks and financial institutions to investigate money laundering and fraud.
Okay, so it all sounds very like CSI-ish for those of us who are not sure what the financial services or crime unit is, but definitely, Mark, your title itself is intimidating. So what does the Technology Services and Digital Forensics Unit do? What are your roles?
Okay, so these are two different departments in the
Yes.
Bermuda Police Service. So our Technology Services Department is the unit that provides internal computer technical support for the organization. This department is also involved in assisting the BPS in realizing its digital policing goals. And these goals would be key in the implementation of appropriate law enforcement technology to keep the community safe. So we're involved in implementing stuff like the CCTV systems, the or body cam, dash cams, or online reporting for the public to make online reports to the police as opposed to coming to a police station. So we're basically the technical department.
Okay.
As it relates to the digital forensics unit, that's a specialist department that deals with the investigation of digital evidence as it relates to acquiring, analyzing, and reporting digital evidence for investigation purposes or court matters. Mm-hmm. So we would be involved in the seizure of digital devices from crime scenes and so forth.
Okay, well, it sounds very fancy, but today we want to talk a little bit about your participation in a series of webinars that we've been conducting, right, around cybersecurity, and specifically our stakeholders are entrepreneurs or business owners. And we just want to see how your department or your unit works with I guess the law, how you enforce the law, and what I guess entrepreneurs should be mindful of. Now, the webinar is coming up on Wednesday, next week, Wednesday, April 27th from 12:30 to 1:30. And just want to find out from you kind of what are the things or topics that you're going to be covering in that session.
So as it relates to the webinar for April 27th, it's really about what the law says about cybersecurity and some of the responsibilities for entrepreneurs. Most of these things fall squarely outside of police jurisdiction. We would be, they would have to call upon the police to
You're the enforcers.
Get involved in these matters. However, we do assist by providing information to the public, to businesses. How can you better protect yourself? How can you better protect customer data? How can you protect yourself against breaches? So the police do have a role to play as well, because if we can participate in the prevention aspects of the cybersecurity realm, then it may not come to a cyber attack or compromise data from a company if we can get ourselves involved from the beginning. As it stands, there's no single piece of legislation in Bermuda that specifically deals with cybersecurity. However, there are a number of laws, such as the Electronic Transactions Act, that provides protection and regulation for e-commerce activities. So any company providing any sort of online payment for goods and services would fall under the Electronic Transactions Act of 1999. And under that act, there are certain standards for electronic transaction that entrepreneurs must follow. And of course, there are responsibilities and there are consequences for not following those. However, those would fall squarely under the e-commerce advisory board.
Right.
Those consequences can range from a warning up to fine or imprisonment. It can range up to $5,000 per day for a breach of a standard. But those are not, the police would not immediately get involved. There are some responsibilities for the police under that act, but as I say, those are not at the front end.
That's like when all other things have been tried, and nothing has worked, then you guys get involved.
The police would get involved if it is referred, if the matter is referred to the police at any stage.
Okay. So I want to get Shannon and Kalvin in here. When, in my mind, when I hear financial crimes unit, I'm thinking like big money, a lot of, large corporations and that sort of thing. And our stakeholders are primarily small and medium-sized businesses. So would your units get involved for or what types of issues would your unit get involved with stakeholders from the BDC stakeholder group? Can you give us some examples?
Yeah, certainly. So the Financial Crime Department and the Criminal Investigation Department, CID, would deal with most sorts of financial investigations. So yes, we do deal with large-scale corruption, international money laundering, tax evasion cases, but we also deal with local frauds that are more complex, embezzlement, sorts of cases. So in terms of smaller companies, yes, maybe something, if a cyber incident did occur, like let's say a WannaCry virus was put on a computer, and then a payment was sent out to the perpetrator, and we want to try to trace where that perpetrator was, we would involve other local stakeholders, like the FIA, local FIA, Financial Investigation Agency, who would assist us in trying to trace those kind of payments for online frauds and those kinds of matters. But in general, we do deal with the entire gauntlet, from low-level crimes to high-level crimes. It's just more an issue of complexity. If it isn't complex, it may likely be dealt with in the Criminal Investigations Department. But as a Bermuda Police Service, we want to cover all sorts of crimes and protect the public. Okay.
Which makes sense, and the public needs protecting. But I think when it comes to cybersecurity and ensuring that you have safe holds in place to protect yourself as an entrepreneur or the business owner, as well as your client, what would you suggest would be best practices? Because in some instances, they don't know they have a virus. They don't know that they've unleashed this thing on, let's say, their client base. So in that instance, is ignorance bliss, or are you still held accountable if you find yourself having, released a virus on, let's say, your customer base?
Well, I mean, from a just a protecting yourself sort of capacity, then business owners, there are lots of things that they can do that can, help protect their business and protect their own information. They can do extensive research onto their suppliers and customers so that they're not dealing with people or individuals who have a long history of being engaged in cybercrime or being engaged in cyber fraud. So there's a lot of things and a lot of services that exist out there that can help just your local business person protect themselves using escrow services, or just doing enhanced due diligence on their suppliers. These are just simple things.
Okay, well, that's good to know. If a person is found to have not done their due diligence, is that when sort of the police gets involved, and then it gets referred, as you mentioned, Mark, to your department for further prosecution or further action?
Okay, so when persons fail to comply with these standards, so as Kalvin mentioned, he did touch on some of those standards. So some of those standards would be to observe business integrity, to ensure that the business you're conducting through e-commerce is not conducted in contravention of the Criminal Code or the Proceeds of Crime Act. You're not engaging in businesses that can lend to money laundering. One of the standards also involve knowing your customer, ensure that you're not supplying goods and services to nefarious individuals. Ensure that you know your business. Ensure, principally, as it relates to cybercrime, it's about protecting data, protecting that information system. So one of the mandatory standards under Bermuda law is to protect personal data. And there's a hefty penalty for not protecting customer data. So ensure that if you're collecting credit card information, if you're collecting persons' date of birth, their names, you're protecting that data. You're not holding on to that data if you do not need to keep it. And avoid abusive use of data, such as unsolicited emails and unauthorized access to people's computer systems or people's electronic communication. So there are a raft of standards that are in place and are mandatory for businesses to observe. And my advice is that if a local business is keen on entering the e-commerce market is keen on providing goods and services online. They should familiarize themselves with the local e-commerce laws and standards. For ignorance of the law is no excuse. So they should maintain an awareness and adherence to local e-commerce laws. E-commerce providers should also use secure and reputable e-commerce payment providers. They should also constantly monitor and analyze those payment systems to ensure that there is no fraud taking place and they can quickly react. Those are some of the responsibilities. They should also engage the services of qualified information system analysts and fraud examiners for advice on prevention methods, as the landscape changes very rapidly. It's a fluid marketplace. Technology changes every day. The criminals, they change their tactics every day. So businesses must keep in concert with that. Businesses can also introduce mandatory payment card fraud awareness training for employees to ensure that their frontline employees are picking up the indicators of fraud very quickly, so that they can alert the police, so that we can step in and protect our community. And one of the other aspects is to constantly or consistently report the instances of cyber fraud to the police. And
that's what I was going to ask you, Mark. So like, say for example, someone there has been a breach or something like that. What is the process for the business owner to contact you and to report the breach so that you guys or the FCU would get involved and do your investigation? Like, what does that process look like?
So I will revert to Shannon Trott to answer the process about the reporting procedure.
Okay, so in general, what would happen is, like any call, it will go through our call center, and then that report will be forwarded up to either the criminal investigation department or us, based on the complexity. From there, we will deploy the appropriate resources. So if it involves, say, computer hacking or high-level threat like that, we'll also involve Mark's units. So what would happen is an officer like myself and Mark will attend. I would be responsible for interviewing whoever the complainant in the matter is, to try to get a better understanding of what occurred, while Mark will check the system to see how the breach may have occurred, depending on the circumstances. From there, depending on what's happened, like let's say money has been sent out to another jurisdiction, I would then likely either do production orders or produce an MLAT, which is a mutual legal assistance treaty, or an EGMOT request. What these are they're basically just products that allow us to communicate with our overseas partners in order to get financial information, right? We can't just, even though we're the police, we can't just call to another jurisdiction and be like, I want the banking information of a particular individual or group. We need to justify our actions at all times. So we have legal standards to adhere to. And then from there, we would get the information back and try to conduct an investigation and either detain or seize the cash that was involved, or look for the culprits locally or externally.
I mean, I feel like in Bermuda, we are small. And so we typically don't think about that being a possibility in terms of having to, I don't know, get international support to try and figure out if fraud has taken place and all of that. But I guess it happens, right? You guys have actually had to deal with cases where you've had to use those tools or products, like you said, to get information to try to seek restitution or a solution on this end. Can you share with us examples of that?
Yeah, 100%. So, money laundering and cybercrime, a lot of these are international offenses. If you have, say for an example, an upfront payment scheme. So an example would be a local company had their computer systems hacked unknowingly. And then what the perpetrators will do is they will send out emails within the companies themselves acting as someone requesting payment for a product. So let's say you're a school, for instance, and it was construction work going on, and or say some lawn care needed to happen, and a company, they would pretend to be the company, spoof them, and then request payment of say $5,000.
Right.
So then we would have to go in, we would have to identify how the breach occurred, which Mark will do. And then from my side, we'll try to trace those funds back to wherever they've gone to. So most likely they've left out of the jurisdiction and gone to another one. So we have to work quickly in order to try to locate the funds, and then we can freeze them and then try to have them repatriated back into Bermuda.
In the instance where, let's say you can't locate the funds, what does the business owner have? Can they reclaim them, or is that something that they should get insurance on so that they can get those funds back, or is it just like once they're gone, that's it?
Okay, so you can try to do your best to get the funds back, and it depends on how the payments were made.
Right.
There is an opportunity for the banks to get it, but in general, if we can't locate the funds, a lot of times there isn't another option for to do. You honestly have to accept the loss. That's why we do programs like this to talk about cybersecurity and tips, and being responsible for your customers and your products. You know, it's not really acceptable to not have a proper cybersecurity program where a breach occurs and a perpetrator gets access to people's personal sensitive information, you know, their personal details, their credit card information, and then it's used. Now, in terms of a credit card, there are certain protections in place.
Right. Right.
And you can look to reclaim that. You can look to claim on your business insurance sometimes, but those are technicalities where you may get money back or may not. But the best route is to try to go with protection rather than try to cure it after it happened.
Go on the offensive, right? Not the defensive. Like you want to get in first before anything happens.
Yes.
So that's definitely good advice, and thank you for sharing that, because I think a lot of times as entrepreneurs, you're like, if we build it, they will come, and we're always encouraging people at BDC that, oh, you want to consider your market as being more than just in Bermuda. So go outside of Bermuda. And the way to do that is to go online, is to create an online presence. But then with that, you open yourself up for all of these potential fraudulent type of transactions and all of that. And what I'm hearing you all say is that the best way to kind of do your due diligence is to ensure that you have the proper securities in place, that you're following the law that has been put in place, and to hire the correct people to make sure that you have what processes that you need to keep yourself and the client safe. So I'm excited about this upcoming webinar. Are you all going to be on talking with the public? Is that the plan?
We are yet to consolidate the final plan for the webinar next week.
Okay.
Working that out. I would like to add, though, in terms of the responses to the cyber threats for entrepreneurs, one of the key thing is people, because when it comes to cybersecurity, you're talking about people, processes, and technology. And the key thing in that in that triangle is people. You can have the best information system protection, but people, if you don't train your people to recognize the security risk, if you don't train your people to follow defined procedures around potential security threats, it would be a waste of money to put up systems. It would be like building a concrete building on a board foundation.
Right.
So security, people, security awareness training is key in the cybersecurity awareness, threat awareness.
You're absolutely right. And you're saying something that everybody who we've had on since last year talking about cybersecurity and privacy and all of that, it boils down to the people, right? Because if you have the two-factor authentication and then the person doesn't do it or they don't put it in, then it's for nothing, right?
That's correct.
Right. So, I mean, that was quick. We're almost out of time. But what I would like to do is give you each an opportunity to kind of share with our listeners, our viewers, about why it is important to consider cybersecurity, why it's important to put processes in place to protect themselves and their potential clients. So I'll start with you, Mark, and then we'll go around.
Okay, cybersecurity, cybercrime can cause significant harm, physical and also mental, psychological harm to people. You're talking about issues such as theft of data, theft of identity can lead to a whole unraveling of somebody's life. It is very important that people pay keen attention to cybersecurity, cyber hygiene, and ensure that they're conducting their business securely. And I want to just point out a few stuff. I know it's about entrepreneurs, but I want to point out a few consumer awareness tips that will also help the entrepreneurs. So in terms of protecting your payment information, your personal information, do not use public or untrusted computers for e-commerce activities. So do not sign on to a public Wi-Fi or free Wi-Fi and then do online purchases, because there may be underlying methods that are capturing your payment data as you're entering that data. So do not trust the public Wi-Fi when conducting e-commerce activities. Do not make purchases when connected to unsecured wireless networks. You go on the street, there's no password to connect.
Right.
Do not make purchases using those networks. Be aware of shoulder surfing. So if you're entering payment card information in the public, be aware that somebody might be beside you. Do not call out your credit card information and your date of birth and the expiry date. Do not be in close proximity to persons when doing that. Keep your personal computers up to date with the appropriate security patches and antivirus. Always ensure that's updated. You know, always check for the sign when conducting e-commerce. Very importantly, when conducting online shopping, ensure that there's an HTTPS. Ensure that the website is secured before you engage. There are a lot of sites that are offering online services and they're not using SSL, which is the secured certificate for sites. So customers should not shop with sites that are not secured, you know, and always use strong passwords. You know, do not use your date of birth or your names, and do not repeat passwords. All right. So those are some good security tips for consumers.
Thank you for that, Mark. I mean, the challenge though is like, if I have to remember another password, like, you know, so we struggle against that, although we know we have to do it, right? Because we want to keep our money, we want to keep our things, and hackers, like you said, they're always working hard. So thanks for those tips. And I would imagine that in next week's webinar, you'll go over them again. So that's great. All right, Shannon, what are your last words of caution, and what can we do to make sure that we're keeping safe and staying safe?
From a business standpoint, what I would say is everyone spoke about the standards that need to be upheld and the regulatory requirements. So if you have questions in how your business should operate, reach out to your regulator. They'll be able to give you good information. And of course, if you fall foul, you are in line for regulatory fines, police action. And also you need to consider that you may lose your operating license, or you might lose your business relationships. Cybercrime in general doesn't just affect you, it also affects your partners and your reputation. An example would be, you know, if your business gets accused of money laundering or something of that nature, and you can't operate through a bank, can't have a bank account,
that's true,
can't send money out, you basically can't operate in the world today. And information, once it's taken and gets on the World Wide Web, it's there forever. Your name's not going to change, your date of birth is not going to change. And it may be a continuing problem where you may deal with the first matter, but somebody might use your information in another scam, and then the police are knocking at your door because your information was provided. So what I would say is again, do your due diligence. Another big thing is don't be afraid to ask questions. Most of the time when these sorts of scams or problems occur with people directly, it's because they're trying to be secretive about it. And the earlier you get the police involved, the better your chances are, or even go for prevention. Ask the questions first. Ask a friend, call the Bermuda Police Service Financial Crime Department, and we can answer those questions for you. Generally, we'll be able to walk you through those steps.
Awesome. Great advice. Thank you for that, Shannon. And Kalvin.
Hi. So, I mean, my advice is less specific. It's generalized, but it's just in this world now, we're becoming much more digital. And so our digital footprint is almost like our credit score. If people get a hold of your Instagram account or your Facebook, if you're a business, there's reputational damage. If by you not having strong security measures from a cyber perspective and your customers' information is lost, then their lives are affected. But specifically for you, if they're busy dealing with that and it causes them to take time out of their day, or really it causes them monetary difficulties, that means they have less disposable income to use at your store.
That's true.
So you have to understand that your actions and protecting their information is also in your benefit as well. So I guess closing words is just take a breath and remember that prevention is probably better than dealing with it in the aftermath.
All right. Well, thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us. Definitely some words of wisdom that have been shared today. We're looking forward to the webinar next week. You can register online at bedc.bm. It is free. And we're doing this to help you guys to prevent yourselves from running afoul of the law. Let's put it like that. So I want to thank you, Mark. Thank you, Shannon. And thank you, Kalvin. And you gentlemen, enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much. It was great.
Right. Thank you very much, Jamillah.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Hello there. All right.
So I still forget to turn off the mic. Turn on the mic.
Okay, joining me now is my colleague, Dennis Carter, who is the Junior Micro, Small, and Medium Enterprise Officer for BEDC, and he is also the person that you want to see if you have a business located in St. George's. So we are going to talk specifically, really quickly, about the Marine Expo, which is coming up on Sunday. So
I know, it comes so fast.
I know we were planning, then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God. So talk a little bit first about what you do for BEDC, and then tell us about the Marine Expo and why we need to be there.
So yes, so thank you for the introduction, and it's always great to be back. So I am mainly based in the East End, and I work closely with all the stakeholders and businesses within the East End as the East End officer. And we're super excited about the Marine Expo. This is probably one of the first big events back since this thing happened over the past 2 years.
Yes.
And it's gonna, it's shaping up to be a great day. It's outside. We have a lot of vendors on board. The businesses are all open. We have a lot of marine stuff happening on the day. So we're super excited to, put it all together, and all this work and all this stress finally and everything.
It's gonna pay off, right?
It's all come together, and it's been fun getting to this point. So we're super excited to have it on Sunday.
Okay, so what is the lay of the land? What's the agenda? So it starts at what time, and then what do we have going on throughout the day?
Yeah, so it'll be from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. And we did unfortunately have the power boats. The power boats will still be there in some capacity. We're still just working on what they're gonna be doing, but there will be live demonstrations, how to handle lionfish safely, as well as a whole lot of organizations. Endeavor and USAIL will be there, so they'll be doing little testers. The pilot gigs, they'll be doing a little sample rowing. And then as well as all the organizations such as the Bermuda Maritime Academy, they actually, if you wanted to go away and work on a yacht, if anybody watches Below Deck and you want to go and be a yachty somewhere around the world, you know, they're the ones to talk to. And really getting all these organizations together in one place, you know, even if you want to become a captain in Bermuda, for example, we'll have marine imports there, as well as a whole bunch of other captains and marine people.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting. I've been every time we had it, and COVID, you know, put a damper in our plans for the last 2 years. So this is exciting that it's coming back. It brings a lot of energy to the town, I think. And like you said, you have vendors also who are going to be on hand. Can you share with us some of the vendors that are going to be participating this year?
Yeah, so we do have a wide list of vendors. So we have a lot of marine vendors, and then we also have non-marine vendors, which will be part of the Old Town Market, which will be along Water Street.
Okay.
So essentially, the layout of the event is along Water Street. We'll have the businesses that are going to be open. A good majority of the businesses are going to be open for the day. The restaurants are all going to be open, as well as on Water Street, there will be the non-marine vendors. And then as you walk out onto St. George's Square and Ordnance Island, you get the marine vendors. So a couple of the vendors that we have that'll be up there are, sorry, I don't know if anybody knows her, Sargasso Girl.
Yes.
A lot of stuff, a lot of documentation of different marine and animal life on Instagram, but she also sells a lot of cool little note cards and stuff like that. So she's that'll be there. But we also have like the Ocean Prosperity Program. I'm gonna pull up my list because there is about 60 plus vendors now.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, so we have
good job, Dennis. You've been working hard.
Yeah, we have a lot of people that are going to be coming down. We have also, let me just pull this up.
Well, I'll tell you what I saw on Facebook. I saw Amani's Cookies is going to be one of the vendors on Water Street. So I was like, y'all know Amani Cookies are like some kind of drug. So,
so they'll be coming. We'll have Triangle Sailing. So Kelsey Durham, who's one of our top sailors in Bermuda, he'll be there. He's just launched a sailing for adults. So he'll be there to speak to people that want to maybe race in the summer times. They have the Wednesday night racing with the J25s. So he'll basically show you how to sail one of those, maybe help you get onto one of the teams. So he'll be there. We have the Spirit of Bermuda is going to be stopping in.
Oh, yay.
Yeah, we have the comic class. We'll have A&P Marine, as well as...
Well, I'm not going to make you read all 60.
I know.
For the people that see this or hear this, it's going to be lit. So you want to come to the Marine Expo on Sunday, which is April 24th. It starts at 11 and it goes right up until what, 6?
Till 6, yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, talk a little bit about how you were able to pull this off. We want to give a shout out to our sponsors and talk about the importance of that.
Of course, you know, definitely a big thank you to Rubis, who has, you know, really contributed and helped us pull this event together, as you know, as well as our other Butterfield and Bermuda Yacht Services, of course. Mark is the go-to on the day to help sort of bring all the boats and everybody together. But, you know, it has been a great challenge, but a very exciting one. I mean, this is my first, I would say, really big event. And it's been, you know, so I'm trying to go big with it. You know, everything.
Of course, go big or go home.
Yeah, it's, you know, there's nothing else. So we've arranged the layout of the event. It's going to be a really cool walk around. And it's just so exciting to just see it all come together. And it's still a bit weird to sort of know that we're going to have this big event with almost no restrictions. Of course, if you want to wear your mask, you're more than welcome to. But this is sort of the first normal event back that I
know. Well, I'm definitely looking forward to it. We're encouraging everyone who sees this or hears this to come out on Sunday. It's going to be a fun time because it always is. Kudos to you and your team. BDC will be in the house with our booth to share information about the services and products that are on offer here. But certainly we're going to do it. We're doing all things Marine on Sunday. So thanks again, Dennis, for being here, and we will see you on Sunday.
Yes, thank you for having me. I always love coming on Mind Your Business, so anytime.
That's right, because what do we say? If you don't mind your business, who will?
Yeah.
Who will? All right, Dennis. Thanks a lot.
Right. See you later.
Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Mind Your Business with me, your host, Jamillah Lodge. Tune in next week, Thursday at 4 p.m. because if you don't mind your business, who will? Mind Your Business is brought to you by BEDC. Bermuda Business starts here.